You're all welcome to Water and Sanitation. We'll have an introduction first of what LiveX is from our Nicholas. What is your title? Okay, so
I'm the
Nicholas,
project manager for the project LiveX,
manager.
but I think today Agatha is going to present about LiveX.
Oh, okay. She was going.
Yeah.
She was Plan B. Since I hope you are well recovered now. So anyway, so Agatha from Zimbabwe will give us the summary of what LiveX is. Just give you a glimpse of what LiveX is before we delve into the subject of water and sanitation. Thank you very much. Karibu, karibu. Agatha, please go ahead.
Hello, Agatha. We can hear you.
Hi,
Okay,
hi.
that's
We can hear you. Go ahead.
I'll try and have my video, but if my network is not really stable, I'll be just using my audio. It's a pleasure to be meeting all of you today, and just a short introduction for us to know and to be on the same page on what is LiveX, which is a virtual exchange that was started from 2024 and it's still ongoing. So this is the third court, and on this third court, this is our first online dialogue. And what I'll be showing you the team. Mace will be sharing the screen, and we'll be showing you the team that is behind LiveX. Some of them are managers, some of them are the people that are behind the ongoing of the project. So take this as a learning curve, and together we can make it. Can you move to the next slide? Okay, so this is ICYE and CCIVS. This is the project team. And then under the project team, I'm sure Klaus is here with us today. He's also the coordinator for this LiveX project. And he's the one who's monitoring the timeline of how we are moving the squad. And any case of emergencies, probably in the book, including the documentation and outlining of the folders that we need to make. And more like he's a whistleblower for us to say, okay, guys, we have done 1, 2, 3, but we are lagging behind. Let's continue, let's proceed so that we all move on the same press. And then we have with under communication. So communications and news is also working under work package for social media content. You have seen, I'm sure, on social media. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have all sorts of social media handles where people have actually get to know of what is LiveX and the online dialogue that we have been doing so far. We also have Kata, who is our finance handler, knowing to be distributing of the funds, budgeting and reimbursement of any events that are happening under the LiveX project. So I would literally say this is the backbone of this project that was started in 2024 and which is still ongoing. So for us to be where we are today, it is through the hope and the of a day-to-day in contact with those people. These three have been of much use as you are moving and as you are still progressing under the Living Exchange Project, which is a campaign that is the main line, though there are other people in some countries that are able to meet physically and have a chat and have a look at what we are really trying to do and how we are planning to move forward from there. The next slide, please. Okay, so LiveX, it is a virtual exchange project, like I said, which is being funded by Erasmus Plus and implemented by ICYE Federation, CCIVS, and the partners are 8 sub-Saharan African partners. By those partners, we have Kenya, we have Togo, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Mozambique, and South Africa, and also Tanzania. So on our project, we actually have objectives that are focused on how we move and how we can incorporate all these and also bring development within the communities that are in these 8 countries. We have the first object of empowering youth globally is re-enhance digital and intercultural virtual collaboration and build leadership capacities for climate changes. And as we move with the slides, you actually see that we have other countries that have already started taking initiatives on tackling these climate challenges that have been affecting different communities among the eight countries. And we also inspire project thinking on sustainable solution. We also have collaboration in action, that is to foster meaningful relationship between diverse communities and the exchange of ideas and best practices for climate resilience. By doing this, we have cross-border initiatives. What might be what might be experiencing in Zimbabwe, someone in South Africa might be experiencing the same. So through the cross-border initiatives, it is bound to bring us together. So we work together in harmony, and we try to find a common goal to solve some of the solutions. And the grassroots initiatives with the measurable impact. We are also focusing on creating sustainable impact, not a solution that is going to reduce, but promoting equity in addressing environmental challenges through culturally inclusive solutions. And systemic and advocate for climate justice, because the world that we are living in, it is not really ours to rest. We actually borrowed it from the unborn. And together we are trying to share the future together as we are strengthening global network for youth-led climate advocacy and highlight innovative projects by participants in local communities. By so doing, we also advocate for exchange rooted in cultural and environmental insights. Thank you, Macy. Can you move to the next slide?
Agatha, you can switch off the video because your sound is not coming through.
All right, okay, so let me just try and use the audio. The impact of what we have done so far is that about 80% mentees are reported to have improved advocacy skills and cross-border collaboration, and enhance the employability through digital capacity building. Also, we have youth-led actions addressing climate justice and community resilience, which you also see in the next slides, as people are not just talking, but they are also bringing action into this, because it might be something that we are having online, but in our respective countries and communities, we are trying by any means possible to bring about the change that we need. And the increased number of youth people committed to environmental protection, restoration, and conservation, it has been something of great applauding that we have to do, because many people are coming together, especially the young people, to see the change that we are advocating for, to see the steps that we really need to take for us not to be bringing more harm to Mother Nature. And we also have an increased number of young people interested in climate action. And this is only not done by word of mouth, but also through the dialogues of this kind, like particularly the one that we are having today. Next slide. And you can see on this slide, we have the partners in trying to bring about what we are talking about. Not only is it word of mouth, but the action that is on the ground. In Kenya, there is collection of plastic waste and repurposing to construct a greenhouse in Ngong, and that is being done in Kenya. And in Nigeria, Lagos, they are using plans for branding in Lagos with the aim of reducing plastic waste. And in Zimbabwe, on that slide, we can see that it's a land restoration program at Mutambara High School in Zimbabwe, where they were once hit by a cyclone. And moving on forward, in South Africa, they are doing climate justice awareness campaigns in Soshanguve. And we also have Togo, where they are doing reforestation in Kampalime, targeting 1,500 trees. So together we can, and moving on forward, cycling is as main means of transport in Berlin, Germany, reducing pollution. So we are also spreading the word, and we are not only being limited to African countries, but we can go abroad and include so many other countries. And then we have Aurora Climate Garden, Budapest, Hungary, a food forest and urban garden promoting hands-on climate action sustainable living and ecological. So these are the things that we have been doing and that have been implemented in the Living Earth Exchange project. And we are still moving on because we still have ample time to practice what we have been talking about. Next slide. By youth participation, we are hosting Power-Picked online dialogues where youth voices take center stage. Today, we'll explore how climate change intensifies challenges around clean water and safe sanitation, disproportionately affecting vulnerable communities, from floods that contaminate drinking supplies to droughts that limit access. So these issues highlight why climate justice must also mean equitable access to life's most basic needs. And I hope this discussion will bring together a perspective on resilience, sustainability, and fairness, because protecting our planet also means protecting people. Take your newfound insights and inspirations to your community. You have the power to start a movement, create change, and protect the planet for the generations to come. And for us to be part of LiveX, it also starts with you. You might not be necessarily part of the 8 countries, but you can choose any other country which is close to you, where you feel, if I am to join this country, I'll be able to bring a positive change. And this is your chance to make impact in your community. We are bringing together 2,000 passionate youth just like you, people who care about the planet and want to create a sustainable future. So why would you feel like you want to join? Learn how you can tackle climate change challenges heads on, and you can connect with the inspiring young change makers from across the globe. Also, you share your ideas, spark conversations, and take lead in your community. The time is now because this is our earth and it is our responsibility. So this is your moment to rise for climate action. And if you want to learn more about the project, you can go on our website. We will also share once we are done with the meeting in our chat room. But for now, just stay close and you listen. We have other presenters who are coming. If you have any questions on the introductions, feel free.
Thank you very much, Agatha, for walking the memo line of LiveX. In the interest of time, and also just one point which I want to request to our audience here today. We will be recording this session, and sometimes we'll be making a few pictures here and there, and those pictures we might use them on our social medias. So by staying in this discussion today, it means that you are giving us your consent to use your pictures, your voices. If you are not very comfortable with that, please just drop us a few lines, then we know what can be done. But if you don't say anything, it means that you are giving us consent that you are interested for us to share your voice or your images. Thank you. On that note, let me move on and invite a caller from Nigeria. I see why Nigeria, caller from Kenya. There's another caller from Nigeria. I'm sorry, but caller from Kenya to share knowledge and also to give us introduction about water and sanitation in details. Caller, I hand over the mic to you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, in the meantime, maybe I can come in quickly and also make it known to everyone that there is auto translation or captioning, and you can actually set it up. And the way to do it is you click on the CC, like on your option where it says more. You should see on your screen where it says more, in terms of like the option, the toggles and options that are on your screen. There is what it's called CC, which is captioning, and then you can set it to the language of your choice. The language being spoken is English. So please do see if you can change that, whether you're comfortable more to engage in Portuguese or French or any other language, and you're part of this call, please feel free to do that so that you're able to follow through with everyone and then engage. And also feel free to leave us anything in the chat. in your own language, and we will be sure to also make you engage in this dialogue today. I'll hand it over back to Cole. I think you're ready, or Rutherford for that reason, but that's all I wanted to say for now.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Okay. So today's topic is water, sanitation, and climate. I'll be taking you through the introduction. And basically, for this presentation, I was looking at how climate change threatens water and sanitation. We know that there's a lot of issues in terms of maybe fluctuations in like temperatures, in terms of deforestation, which causes climate change. There's issues like poor sanitation, which releases sort of like methane gas to the environment, which interferes with our ozone layer and also affects climate change. So we are going to look at the intersection, how they're connected, how water, sanitation, and climate change are connected, and best practices and what we can do to curb the current issues that we are facing when it comes to water, sanitation, and climate change. We know that Africa is very affected by the issues of water and sanitation, so we are going to sort of try and also connect that to the presentation. Why it matters, as I've said, water is a basic human need, and sanitation is also a basic human need, because if we don't have sanitation, if we don't have proper sanitation, that in turn influences or affects water and hygiene and other basic needs that we have, and that affects overall health in general. That there is water crisis that comes from the issues of climate change, where we see maybe a change in rainfall patterns, which affects availability in water in other places. And sometimes you also get to see that maybe because of heavy rainfalls, it becomes too much, and there's issues of flooding, and again, it affects different aspects, be it in terms of agriculture, which affects food security, be it just individually. Like if it's raining too much, the roads are flooded, you can't drive to work if you're going to work, or just access to various amenities is a problem. So here we'll see how this is affected. So there is the link between climate change and how it affects water availability. We'll see how it's in turn damages sanitation systems. And again, when these sanitation systems are not taken care of, it worsens the effects of climate change, and we'll see how that happens. There's also water systems which use energy, because when we have to clean the water and put it back in the taps for other people to use it, there's a cycle that it goes through, and there's an energy that is used. So how does that link to this climate change and the health connector? I think you can see this image on the side, and it kind of shows an overview of the overall effects, how maybe the changing patterns of rain could affect the water levels, or maybe if there is poor sanitation, how that goes into the layers, increasing temperatures. For instance, there's causing of drought. When the ice melts, you can see there's thawing, and that affects the levels of water. Rising sea levels is also something that will be looked into, because we know seawater is salty. If that level rises, it means it's going into our water sources, or maybe the soil, and it gets to affect different parts of our lives. So we are going to look a bit into that also. When it comes to water availability, we see either floods or droughts. I think most of us have experienced that in whatever country we are from. Because, for instance, if I give an example of even back at home, when it comes to the change in rainfall patterns, you see, if societies are used to, oh, this time is the time there's rain, this is the time we're going to plant and whatnot. But then because of the shift in the rainfall patterns, then it ends up affecting agriculture, it ends up affecting livelihood. Because of the unavailability of water, we can see from this image there's an effect in agriculture in terms of like the maize don't grow and there is stunt, which affects livelihood for some people. There's a picture of someone at the bottom going to look for water because you can see the land is so dry that there isn't like enough water. So it means individuals have to maybe go outside their comfort zone or where they're used to try and get as little, any amount of water they can get for their daily use. So we can see how that affects water and in turn affects literally just our daily livelihood. Impacts on groundwater and surface water, this is what I was talking about, that it either lowers or increases. And in some areas when it is lowered, it means, for instance, like if we are drilling boreholes, it means you have to drill deeper because the level of water keeps going down, which means there's depletion. When it comes to the sea levels rising, it means when the water rises, it goes into the channels, it goes back into the water channels and maybe goes off into freshwater systems, or when it's seeping into the ground, it goes and mixes up with fresh water, and that affects. So if it's plantation, it affects the soil in terms of what you can plant and what not, because the soil can be compromised. If it's water sources, sometimes you feel like fresh water is a bit salty because of, the minerals that have been absorbed in it, which affects the use of the clean water. And I think you can see from the images above in the presentation, you can see how that kind of affects each other. There's loss of land, there's reduced water quality, there's increased surface evaporation because maybe there's increase in temperatures, which means we are losing a lot of water very fast. When it comes to surface water sources, that is like lakes and rivers. It means if the level is reducing, I think we've seen places where rivers dry up and it completely dries up, which means the ecosystem is affected. There's migration of, maybe if it was fishing that was done in the area, it means there's less of that going on because it affects the ecosystem in general. We can see climate change, how it affects sanitation systems. So, for instance, there's extreme flooding. We've had cases in Nairobi where it rains so much and the drainage systems are compromised, which means there's mixing of water from, the dirty rivers and all that with clean water, because heavy rainfall, if the systems are not okay, it means it can destroy latrines. If there is septic systems for, cleaning water, all those are destroyed and there's contamination. When there's that contamination, it means there's also issues like waterborne diseases that are spread, because when you end up using this water, it might be tap water, but you don't know where if there's contamination anywhere. So when you use it and you end up falling sick, that kind of predisposes you to all these waterborne illnesses. And poor sanitation worsens climate change. As I said when I was beginning, there's methane gas released from poorly managed water sources. Like we can see the image at the top left corner. So that is it's a mix of maybe like the sewer water and a small river running through. From there, you'll find that there's a lot of methane gas produced because that water is probably mixed with like fecal matter and all that. When that methane gas is released, it means it's contributing to global warming, which means it's affecting the ozone layer, which means it's affecting the temperatures, and temperatures directly influence water because there's maybe a lot more evaporation. The water is, we lose a lot more surface water, which also that's what causes the drying up of our surface, the surface level water sources. We can see from the images below. So there's from the excreta, you can see the systems that are used to clean the water. In some cases, you can see there's a proper system, which means there's no contamination. The treatment is done safely and properly, so it means that we manage to prevent, for instance, this release of like methane gases into the atmosphere. But then when it comes to things like bucket latrines, people who maybe use buckets or pit latrines that have not been covered. You see, when someone just digs a huge hole and then builds a latrine, so it means there's no protection for the soil. So anything can seep into the soil. And that is how contamination comes about. There's open defecation, and we all know that one is definitely it definitely predisposes people in whatever environment that is to various issues because there's no safe disposition of the fecal matter. And if it rains or something happens and the water, it goes into the water sources, there's contamination. The health connector, I've talked about how it creates vulnerability, which means when water quality is reduced, that is by contamination from, be it maybe fecal matter or dirty water from septic tanks mixing with clean water that we are using for cooking or cleaning or drinking, then we are predisposed to illnesses like diarrhea, there's malnutrition, and just generally the people who suffer the most are children and elderly because of the immune system. And this is especially a problem for low-income communities because then if you can't get the help that you're required in hospitals, then it means you're at a more vulnerable position in terms of health risks and all that. Again, you can see an image attached at the top, which shows how climate change can cause vulnerability and how that affects the health of different people at different stages. Water systems use energy to clean this water from like the sewers and septic tanks. We know there is the process of the water treatment, which means it has to be taken and pumped to the place where the treatment is done and all the other processes that are required for water treatment. All this uses energy, the pumping and the distribution, even just from the areas for treatment back to our homes, it needs pumping. What does that mean? There is a lot of use of electricity. So if the electricity used is from fossil fuels, then it means carbon emissions are probably high. And we know water is something that is a necessity. So it's something that goes on every day. There's no day that it's said that, oh, we are not doing any water treatment and whatnot. So it's because it's something that is continuous, then it means there's an impact. If the use of fossil fuel is a lot, it means there's a lot more carbon emissions, and that affects climate in general. We have a few impacts, which I will just mention, but the next presenter, Ropafadzo, will continue. So we do understand there are a lot of impacts from climate, and it affects our health, education, economy, and general stability and future. in terms of health, it means there is a lot of pressure under public health because a lot of people are sick and a lot of people end up going to hospital to try and get this treatment, which brings about flooding. Because again, we've said most of the time you'll find like the poor sanitation areas is in the low income regions or places without where the living standards are not really like the best. So you'll find that there's a lot of system pressure again because it's easy for people to be compromised in terms of health. In terms of education, there's disruption because if kids can't go to school maybe because of these illnesses that they get from consuming maybe dirty water or dirty food or just because of the environment, then that is a disruption. When we are talking about our economy, there's negative impacts to economy because it might affect different things. For instance, it could affect tourism, it could affect agriculture, because food die in the farm before they are ready to be harvested. When it comes to our stability, for instance, people living in communities where they're pastoralists, it means if there's no water, they have to go to other regions to try and look for food and water for their animals, which might bring about conflict because, again, it might be a lot of people struggling to fight for resources that are not enough for everyone. There's gender and inequality because we know that some women are more affected by this, and that could bring some sort of like inequality. And we know the discussions that we've had about gender and inequality. And then there's overall environmental degradation, which is caused about by burning of maybe plant cover because of lack of maybe water and other resources to maintain the environment. So my colleague will continue. Ropa Fadzo will take over and take us through the rest. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Edna. So before we bring Ropa to share her insights, we're going to have a pop quiz where we will test your geographical knowledge on
We have
water.
lost you, Mercy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
But I just wanted to make one small announcement before you come in. I just wanted to request that those who have got questions, you can write them down now. Then at the end, after all the presenters have presented, then you can have time for question and answer sessions. For now, we can just note down your questions, and at the end of the presentation, then you can ask some questions. Thank you. You can go ahead, Mercy.
Okay, thank you. Are you ready to test your knowledge? General knowledge? Thumbs up if you are ready. Or emoji, or whichever. Okay, I can see many thumbs up. So just give me a minute to open the presentation. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No?
We have started.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a few questions and give you, to make it interesting, 15 seconds to either write or shout the answer, and then we'll reveal the answers in the next slide. So the first question is, which African lake is sometimes called the Dead Sea because of its turquoise color? Sorry, I think there's somebody whose mic is on. Kindly mute yourself so that we are able to continue the exercise. Okay. Yeah. So question 1, which oops, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Which African lake is sometimes called the Jade Sea? Because of its turquoise color. Does anyone want to shout the answer or write it in the chat? I'll have to minimize my screen so I can see, or maybe somebody can help check in the chat for the answers so that I don't have to reveal
I'll check
my
for you in the.
slides. Okay, thank you.
Oh, we have answers Lake Turkana, and we have almost 5 participants. In the end, Enoch is saying Lake Chad.
Okay, the right answer is Lake Turkana, which is found in the northern part of Kenya, and it's on the floor of the Rift Valley. If you're familiar with your geography, Rift Valley is a huge crack that passes across 11 countries, and Kenya is one of them. And this is one of the world's largest permanent desert lakes, and it's the world's largest alkaline lake, and it's also the world's 4th largest salt lake by volume. So we have Enoch, sorry, next time. I hope you will get the next one correct. Next question. Lake Chad has shrunk by more than what percent since the 1960s? Is it 60%? Is it 90%? Is it 40%? Is it... Daniel, you can unmute and say your guess.
By 90%.
Okay,
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
there are 2 answers, 90% and the other 60%.
What was the first
Someone is saying
percentage?
40,
90%.
60.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear correctly, but 60%. Okay. The right answer is 90%. So since 1960, Lake Chad has shrunk by 90% from 26,000 kilometers to now having less than 1,500 kilometers, or rather 2 years ago, due to climate change. So, and this crisis has affected 30 to 50 million people, causing food insecurity, conflict, loss of livelihoods in Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, and Niger. So you can see the images showing the decline of the lake. Okay, and the next question. About what percentage of natural disasters between 2001 and 2018 were water related? What percentage of disasters do you think are water related? Natural disasters, that is.
%65.
Okay, we have 65%. I can hear Edna shouting 74. Any in the chat, Agatha?
Not as yet.
Okay.
Oh, we have 74.
By the way,
In the
please, let's try and not check on the internet. Let's try and answer using our general knowledge. No cheating.
We have others who are saying 65 and others who are saying 74%.
Yes. So for those of you who guess 74%, it's true. 74% of natural disasters between 2021 and 2018 were water related. And around 450 million children live in areas of high or extremely high water vulnerability. Okay. Quick question. Can water exist in 3 states at once? Yes or no?
Yes, the answers are yes so far.
Okay. You can see we have some science students. So this is called the triple point of water, where water can freeze and boil at the same time and exist in liquid state, gas state, and yeah. So you need these conditions for it to happen, the ones that are on the screen. Then we'll go to the next question. So which river in Africa flows into a desert? Which river in Africa flows into a desert?
Okavango.
I can see somebody has guessed correctly. Yes, it's Okavango River, which is the longest river system in Southern Africa, running from central Angola into the Kalahari Desert in Botswana. And it's named after the Kavango people in northern Namibia. That's an interesting fact. So, yes. And then, what is the average percentage of water in the human body?
70%.
Had somebody say 70. Any other guess?
In the chat, we also have 70.
I think 80.
80. So the answer is 60, between 55 and 60 for adults. So it's composed
Thank
of
you so much.
approximately 60%. And water is important for regulating body temperature, transporting nutrients, and enabling proper cellular function. So you can see for babies, it's 75% as we grow older. For adults, it's in women, 55, and men, 60. And I hope you've drunk water today. So this is your reminder to drink water today and to drink it sustainably. Sip smart and save for tomorrow. Okay. Now I will stop sharing my screen. I hope you enjoyed the exercise. If you did, thumbs up. If you did not, oh, for those of you fasting, okay, when you drink water, drink it sustainably whenever you open your fast. Yeah.
Thank you,
I'll
Missy.
just give me time to open Ropa's presentation and then she'll speak.
Yes, in the meantime, for those who have just joined, the session is being recorded. So by staying on and leaving your videos on, you're consenting for us to use your imageries and video for social media and other project communications. Also, another point is that there is readily available captioning option for you to utilize. Also serves as a translation service, which is automatic. You just need to press where it says show captions and then change it to the language of your preference, whether it be Portuguese, French, or other languages that you can see available for you to utilize. But if anything, leave us a comment in your own language, as comfortable as you are, and we should be able to sort you out. I'll hand it over back to you, Mercy.
Thank you. I'm seeing in the chat that Janet is saying her students want to say hi. So Janet, they can write in the chat just for us to save time. They can introduce themselves in the chat and pass their greetings there. So Ropa, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Mercy. I think we can set. I can see already the next presenter is ready, and the
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Mercy, can you move to slide number 6 for me, please?
Number 6.
Yes.
Okay. Just give me a minute.
It's just a continuation from what Kola have just said previously. I'm going to present on the impacts of climate change. Okay, that one. Thank you. So I will speak on the squeeze on freshwater scarcity and competition. We all know in different regions, people use water differently. And in Zimbabwe, in most cases, we face that tourists use more than 10 times water per day for their daily consumption, for the swimming pools, golf courses, for laundry in the tourism industry. Looking at the impacts of climate change has affected our precipitation rainfall patterns, and it has resulted in prolonged droughts in most destinations in Africa, like Kenya. Can you move to slide number 9 for me, please? So in Kenya, they face severe drought crisis in some of the arid areas, in semi-arid areas, due to failure of rainfall. This end up causing droughts and having our children facing malnutrition and kwashiorkor, which is not good for our health. We can also look at the Democratic Republic of Congo, slide number 10. Looking at Nigeria, Nigeria is an overpopulated country. You tend to find out that it results in overpollution of land, and we can see that Nigeria, we face a lot of rainfalls in Nigeria. It results in having a lot of floods, which end up being breeding places for mosquitoes, which can also cause malaria. In countries like Mozambique, we face coastal vulnerabilities, which results in rising seawater levels, causing saltwater intrusion, which permanently contaminates the underground freshwater aquifer that both resorts and locals rely on for drinking water. In Mozambique, they have a coastal area, and there's a city that is close by to the coastal area named Beira. They experience frequent flooding and saltwater, resulting in cases of having high risk of malaria cases in Mozambique. Looking at South Africa, slide number 11. Despite having high access rates, the country faces severe delivery failures and water shedding. You tend to find out that they have a long period of water shedding in South Africa, having like most of their hours without water. Even here in Zimbabwe, in some parts of Zimbabwe, they do have water rationing periods, like having water at least maybe 4 hours a day or maybe 2 days without water. In those cases, people end up going for queues to have water, to fetch water from bores, untreated wells, which is not safe for us humans to consume, to have drinking water that is not safe for our health. On slide number 12, I mentioned about sustainable resilience. Sustainable resilience, we are talking about ways of adapting on how we can help our environments to have clean, safe water for consumption. Resorts must adopt closed-loop systems where wastewater is captured, treated, and reused, like the 3 R's: recycling, reuse, and the other R, renewable. Okay, so for water, we have to use the wastewater for other reasons. After we have treated it, for example, we can use that wastewater for toilet flushing and landscape irrigation. Also, I've mentioned about climate proofing infrastructure. Investments must be made in sanitation systems that can withstand extreme flooding and power outages, such as constructed wetlands and decentralized solar-powered wastewater treatment plants, for us to be able to survive in this environment. Can we move to slide number 13? Okay, so on the opportunities, I've mentioned private sector engagement. We can seek private sector engagements so that they can fund us to build boreholes for our local communities so that we can have safe water for consumption. We can also shift from large failing centralized grids to community managed boreholes and solar powered water kiosks. Okay, so on slide number 14, I was talking about the solutions. We should not consider having reliance on external donors by improving local utilities, making sure that our councils, our municipalities work with us so that we can have clean water. We can also collect rainwater, the use of buckets. It will be like gathering rain for use for cooking. If it's possible, we can use rainwater to cook. We can also use rainwater for irrigation, to do our laundry. We can also build bores, construct toilets, and teach hygiene habits. For example, in Mozambique, if you go to Mexica, Mozambique right now, you can find out that in some parts of Mexico, they do not have proper toilets, and it's not good for our health. We end up having a lot of diseases like typhoid, bilharzia, from unsafe use of toilets. Let's construct toilets and teach hygiene habits in our local communities. Let's work together to improve water and sanitation by implementing local projects in our communities and promote awareness campaigns reaching to a large audience in our local communities, making a positive change. Let us use water wisely, keep toilets clean, and let's promote hygiene. Let's work with the local residents to make a difference. Thank you. I will leave this time to the other presenter.
Thank you so much, Ropa. Just remember, as the moderator said, Mr. Rutherford, that if you have any questions, make sure you keep them to present them later, or you can write in the chat. Before we have our next presenter, Wangeshi, I'm going to hand over to Agatha to do an exercise for us. Agatha, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mercy, and thank you, Ropa, for such a wonderful presentation. So this is a very, very quick exercise, and we are giving each other more like 30 seconds so that you just grab anything that is close to you that might have a similar color that is representing any water body or any kind of water that is infested in your area. And by that color, we might have 3 or 4 people who are willing to tell us what that color will be. For instance, myself here, I'm not sure if my network will allow me to have a video. I'm holding this green into water which is invested by algae and just sewer which is leaking in other water bodies. So now I'm giving each and every one of us just 30 seconds that you grab anything that is close to you. If it's brown, if it's white, any color that is representing the water that has been infested in your area. Thank you. So that is close to you. We don't want to waste much time because we still need Messi, you can also assist me in checking if there are any people who are holding something that is related to the color of the water that is being represented from the communities they are coming from or anywhere else. You can even share your picture in the chat or just write in the chat. Thank you. Messi,
for mine, I selected a brown bag because it's been raining. We have a lot of puddles, and the water in the puddles are brown. I can see Sarah showed us a pin. I think it was blue. Sarah, it seems the color of the water closest to her is blue. Madam Kirubo showed us something, but put it down. I can't see it again. Is it brown or metallic? I'm not sure.
You can see it.
Now your video is off.
But my video is off. What did I do? Oh,
Like we
okay.
can.
Sorry.
What color
You can see it.
Yes.
People's cameras are off, so we can't really see what they're holding. So if you're able to, put your camera on for a few seconds for the purpose of this exercise, that would be wonderful.
Can you see mine?
Yes, we can. What color is it?
Brown.
Okay. Wangeshi had also shown something.
Yeah, blue. The bottom is blue. So
I want to come to that part of Nairobi where the water is not brown like our side.
the swimming pool.
Oh, okay. Alid, you showed something. Hey, Alid, you're showing us plastic on an environmental conversation. Okay, it's your plastic is colorless. So the water, what color? Show it again. I'm seeing a Fanta bottle. Blackcurrant. Or maybe you can write in the chat what you want, what color you're representing. Janet is holding some green plants. Janet, tell us about the water near you that's green. Or if you're not able to speak, you can also write in the chat. Please switch on your camera so we can see. We have 1 more minute for this exercise. Felix, your water is clear. I can see your whatever you're holding is colorless. So it's see-through. The water around you is see-through. Agatha, green also. Oh, you mentioned the algae around you. Wumi, if you're saying something, we can't hear you. So write in the chat. Ropa, your camera went off again, but I didn't see the color you presented. In the meantime, Nicholas, you have many colors in your item. So Tell us about your item and the colors.
Focus more on this green cactus, but it's also more or less to represent the green water bodies. I mean, the water bodies that appear green, to be honest, because of like all the algae, or sometimes because I'm currently in a country, Tanzania, that also has some tropical rainforests. So when it's green, that can also be reflected in water, and hence you might see the ocean or some nearby water bodies as green. So this is like, for me, something that comes close to that.
Thank you. Is anyone else, one last person, open to sharing us what is next to them?
Yes, I'm holding water. Mercy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Wumi. Go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm holding water because our weather here is very hot. So you need to be taking water up and down so that to calm yourself down.
Thank you. So now I'm going to present Wangeshi's presentation. Just give me a minute for that, and then we'll hear from students from the University of Nairobi.
See, we also
Sorry?
According to the previous okay, bodies do appear green in the country, and Janet said here they said underground water. So I'm sure they were holding something which is brownish in color. Thank you.
Yes, I can see it. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm just making a short presentation on how we are conducting water quality testing with my school club in the University of Nairobi. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So CIAC is the club that I'm representing, known as the Chiromo Environmental Awareness Club. Chiromo campus is one of the campuses in the University of Nairobi, where we learn science and technology. So that's the Faculty of Science and Technology. It is a student-led club, and it's under the School of Biological Science. So like, for example, I'm studying environmental conservation and natural resource management under the School of Biological Sciences. So in our club, we endeavor to create awareness on environmental issues for affecting the university and the community around us. And that's particularly water issues, which we'll get into more depth on. We seek to build a community of citizens who are committed to protecting the environment. And we also want to develop innovative solutions and sustainable solutions. So we want to apply what we're learning in class, for example, in biology or chemistry, and how we can apply that to the environment around us. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So our mission, vision, and achievements. Our mission is to bridge academic knowledge with practical environmental action, as I mentioned. Then our vision is expand impact through innovation, collaboration, and sustained action. Continue to produce environmentally conscious leaders. So some of our achievements are campus cleanups, educational outreach like seminars, lectures, even speaking here with you is a educational and community project. We also do tree planting and recycling and leadership, student engagement, research initiatives, etc. So we can move to the next slide. So the background to this project on water quality testing. So it was initiated due to the severe pollution of Nairobi River, which has tributaries passing through our campus. So there are actually two rivers passing through our campus. One is called Kirisho-Ndogo, and the other river is called Msongawai. And both of them are extremely polluted. If you've ever been to Chiromo campus or Chiromo in general, I'm sure you would notice that. So that's what we observed. And there are many reasons for this. So this could particularly pollution. So for example, the water could contain hydrogen sulfide and methane, which have a very pungent smell. They could also have microorganisms such as E. coli, which indicate sewage contamination. And we also observe objects like plastic, bottles, papers, just things which are thrown into the river. Even the color of the river itself is green, as most of you showed green objects. That's how the river is. It's green, has black places, but I don't think you'd see any blue there in the rivers at all. Okay, next slide, please. So there are many different sources for contamination of urban rivers or urban water bodies. So for example, in Kenya, we have a lot of informal settlements like Mathare, Kibera, Kawangware. So these kind of settlements often don't have sewage systems which are reliable. So a lot of sewage and waste gets thrown into river bodies. But even formal settlements can discard effluent. So I think sometimes we tend to blame, quote unquote, informal settlements, but actually formal settlements can also lead to a lot of pollution, as well as industrial discharge of pollutants and solid waste dumping. So as mentioned earlier, pollution has a lot of threats. So it threatens both human health and aquatic ecosystems. And we learn a lot about aquatic ecosystems and how they are very vital. So this is very close to home to what we learn in environmental science. So toxic sediments, which can be caused by toxicity entering the river system, can endanger the river biota. Waterborne diseases, as was mentioned, is another threat. So cholera, typhoid, etc. All these diseases can end up endangering people. I'm seeing someone has agreed on both formal and informal settlements. Yes. And there's also unsafe water for domestic and agricultural use, which can, again, threaten the environment. So next slide. So as scientists and club members, we decided the best thing that we can do is basically have equipment in order to test the quality, because we can observe some things with our eyes, but we need that empirical data. So as we have a well-vested interest in the well-being of Nairobi River. So therefore, with the help of MCDI, which is one of our partners, the Millennium Development, I forgot the full name, sorry, I blanked on the full name, but with the help of MCDI and also IHE Delft, we were able to, with the help of MCDI, we were able to contact IHE Delft and acquire water quality testing equipment. That was in September of 2024. So even before we received the equipment, we had carried out water testing using, how do I put it? Manual methods, such as using devices like turbidity to measure turbidity, which is the cloudiness of water. We have these devices called Secchi discs. We can also measure temperature and pH and all those things. But now with this equipment, we can actually measure a very wide spectrum of parameters. So yeah, upon receiving the equipment, we embarked on several trainings on how to test both drinking water and water for domestic use from the river. So what we want to do with it is use it as a research tool, as I mentioned earlier, for academic purposes, for club purposes, and also at large, where if we're able to conduct these tests, we're able to even inform policy, we're able to just basically, we're able to actually have data on these things that we observe. So we encourage all our members to use the equipment and go through the training processes, including seniors and even master students and anyone who's interested. Next slide, please. So this is just a photograph of the equipment. It's called a mass spectrometer, and that's what we use to assess water quality. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the project launched in November of 2024, and it began by just training 30 students on how to do water quality analysis. And we also did some outreach programs around the campus, making people sign questionnaires about how they see the water quality, what they would like to do. So the training was actually undergone in the hydrology lab, which is a lab on Chiromo campus, and it was in 3 different sessions. And so we were able to learn how to utilize the equipment and also look after it because it's very delicate. And we also want to extend this training to, as we said, other students who maybe aren't members of the club, but who are interested, as well as to train and educate high school students because, you know, they're our future. I mean, we're also the future. We're still young, but they're even further in the future. So I think high school students, it would be good for them to learn these things that we're learning now at an early age and empower them. So yeah, we believe that lab data should be combined with health outcomes because the environment is a mixture of both. It's a mixture of what we learn in the lab as well as what we see in the community. So you can't just have one or the other. They have to go hand in hand. So next slide. So this is how we plan on doing this implementation. So data collection, data analysis, outreach, compilation, and presentation. I'm sure most of you are familiar with something similar to this method, but let me just talk about it briefly. So first step, the data collection is collecting the water samples from Nairobi River from different sections that are passing through our school. Then we use the spectrometer to test the water quality of the river. So in the spectrometer, you're able to test how much phosphorus is there, how much nitrogen is there, how much nitrate is there, and you compare it to the NEMA standards or to just the UN standards in order to understand, okay, how far away is this from what is considered healthy water? Then there's data analysis, which is a bit of what I was talking about, analyzing the findings. So you see, okay, we found this much of this, we found this much of this. How can we now, based on these findings, make recommendations based on this data collection? So you collect the data, you just have the raw data, then you analyze it, then goes into outreach. So outreach, you identify the major stakeholders. That's the students, the community around, because a lot of people live in that area and it's affecting their health and their well-being. So this can be done by conducting interviews. As I mentioned, we did have a few questionnaires and understanding to identify the impact of the water quality on people. So how is this poor water quality affecting you? Is it aesthetically? Is it, an eyesore and making it difficult to concentrate? Is it dangerous for people who maybe don't have access to running water in their homes and they rely on these water bodies? And then after that, we have compilation. So we compile all the data, the quantitative data or the numbers and the science data, and the qualitative data about how the different people, the different stakeholders are feeling. And once we complete that step, we go into data presentation. So we can present it as a large report, we can present it as a PowerPoint as I am sharing here. There are many different ways to represent data, but the best way is that it should combine as I said, quantitative and qualitative data, and it should also be in a way that many people can understand, not just using jargon that a lot of the stakeholders may not be able to understand, even some of the students may not be able to understand. We have to do it in a way that everyone is involved and included. Okay, next slide, please. So finally, I'm going to talk about our goals. So I think throughout the presentation, you kind of gotten a clear idea of the goals, but I just want to go into more detail, or rather summarize it. So first is to utilize the equipment to conduct detailed evaluations of Nairobi River's water quality. And then we can also go into using the equipment for data-driven research that supports innovative, sustainable environmental solutions. So, of course, there's your findings, right? You find out that maybe the river is polluted, it's not doing well. So you have to now come up with solutions. Is that river cleanup programs? Is that, even innovative solutions? For example, some plants can even absorb toxins. So do we need to plant those around the river? Things like that, thinking outside the box, because it's not only about just having problems, we also have to find solutions to the problem. So we're not so depressed by it. Then we also want to employ photojournalism to document the water quality challenges as a means to inspire action. So as I mentioned, photojournalism is something that we value a lot because, speaking and writing can be sometimes very difficult. It takes a long time. I've spoken for so long, but a picture can tell you so much. And I think, yeah, having photographs of exactly what we're doing, it can speak to a wider array of people, a diverse audience. So yeah, then we also want to partner with local communities to implement and sustain practices that promote clean water. So as I mentioned, one thing we're really interested in talking to is, one group we are really interested in talking to is high school students. But of course, there's also our own community of university students. They're the people who work around the university. For example, we have a lot of, I don't know how to say, shops that are around the university that sell, let's say, things like smocha, which is a Kenyan street food. So, for example, we can tell them, hey guys, let's not dump the napkins into the river. We can just show, because it's not, let's not dump the napkin into the river, let's not dump things into the river, for instance. That way we can promote clean water. And it's the simple things, because as much as these problems are huge, if we all take incremental steps, we can actually solve the solution of dirty water. And then another thing we want to do is promote citizen science. So citizen science is where us as citizens are able to conduct our own scientific research. So, maybe you don't have a bachelor's degree in science, or you don't have any background in science, but you're a human being, you're a citizen, you're able to go around and make observations. And in science, we're just detailing the observations around us. So if you're able to observe that the river is black, or if you're able to observe that it smells bad, or if you're able to observe that there are less fish than there were 10 years ago or 5 years ago, that's still science, in as much as maybe it doesn't have a formal language to it, it's still science. And all of us as citizens should be scientists, because we should be working towards the goal of gaining more knowledge, which is science. And that's why, yeah, so the skills in testing and monitoring water quality. So for example, you can have water quality testing kits, which are just small kits that you can use that don't require too much, that aren't too difficult to use, and you're able to just test like for certain parameters. Or even what we were saying, even before we had equipment, we were able to use thermometers to test temperature. We were able to use pH papers. I forget what they're called, but pH papers to test pH and all of these things. And so again, it's not just about testing once, but it's about monitoring the progress. And yes, next slide. I think this is all. Yes, I finished. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Wangeshi. That was quite insightful, and it's nice to see that students are taking up the climate action as an addition to what you're studying in school. So it's good that you're going the scientific route and doing what you can to create awareness about water and the cleanliness of water. Yes. So I think we'll open the space for any comments and questions before we have our panel discussion. Or Mr. Rutherford, how do you want to do it? Do you want to have a panel together with questions and answers, or do you want to have the questions first?
I'll propose that we have the questions first, then from the questions, we'll pick some for the panel for discussions. We can pick at least 3, which we can discuss in detail during the panel for discussion. But we can just have questions coming in for now, then yeah.
Okay, so we've had very extensive conversations from 3 speakers on water. Does anyone have questions for any of the speakers? You can raise your hand. If you're not able to speak, you can write your questions in the chat. Also, if you're not an English speaker, you can write the question in your language. Maybe what I'm saying is not relevant since it's in English, but Nicholas, please help me translate in the chat. If you're not an English speaker, you can also write in your language in the chat, and we'll try and translate your question to the speakers. Any questions? It seems the crowd is quiet today. Okay. I can see some chats in some questions in the chat.
There's one question.
You
can read from the chat, I'm seeing.
From Tinotenda Jumo.
Yeah.
What role does community ownership play in sustainability? So this can go to Ropa, Etna, or Wangesh.
Okay, I'll just speak based on what I think. I think community ownership can play a role in sustainability in that when the community feels a sense of collective ownership over something, for this case, water, then they'll be able to more readily sustain it. Because, it's not something that just belongs to you as an individual, but to the collective community.
I think I could also say that when it comes to community ownership, when you take responsibility, it means that you're looking after the well-being of everyone, and everyone else is looking after each other's well-being. So in terms of like ownership, when everyone is involved in taking care of, let's say, drainage around their area and making sure that is good, making sure that water, for instance, like Wangeshi said, the way they're testing water, in the way they plan on doing the tests and just creating more awareness. When that happens, it means we are able to see problems even before they come up and affect more people, which means it can be whatever issues there are can be sort of addressed in time and maybe prevent like the ripple effects on other people in the community. So I think definitely community, that ownership of just everyone being involved is very important, because it will kind of like push everyone into an area of looking after everyone else's well-being, and it's just from there it can only get better for everyone in the community.
Mhm. And to add on to that, I think I would also bring in the aspect of culture. When it comes to sustainability, it's very important for key players to respect the different cultures of the communities where actions are being taken. So having the members of the community telling us or showing how sustainability is in line with culture is also a way of the actions being well received and the effects lasting longer. And also, as you can see, the trend now is quote unquote going back to traditional ways of doing things. And I think we can still learn a lot on, for example, the traditional ways of purifying water or cooling water and things like that. So when we have the community involving us in the cultural practices, then we're able to have the sustainability lasting longer. I think Mr. Rutherford, you had your hand up.
Thank you very much, Mercy. I wanted also just to add on in the issue for ownership. I think Wagesh put it very well, that when we have this concept of citizen science, it means that everyone in the community is taking ownership. And once everyone takes ownership, our waters will be protected because everyone have a sense of ownership. We own it. When it is community owned, community owned, then the chances of sharing it and also solving other issues like conflict in the community, because water is also one of the major sources for conflict at the global level or at community level. So once we own it collectively, we've managed to solve quite a number of things. So community ownership and the sense of ownership, I think, is the key cornerstone for water management in communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
There is another question which have been sent by Tinotenda in the chat. It is saying, on what policies would you recommend to strengthen water governance?
Water governance is so political and I don't know. So I know, for example, when we trace the River Nile, yes, it flows into Lake Victoria, but just because of agreements that were made hundreds and hundreds of years ago, we find in some East African communities cannot access water from the Nile, meaning they don't have access to certain livelihoods and certain maybe access to electricity for some countries. So on the particular policy, I wouldn't know, but I think we can amplify our advocacy. For me, I think in the past, because the internet was not such a big thing, a lot of these things could slide through because there was no information. But then now, because we have access to internet, we have access to so much information, we are able to do our own research and create awareness and did you know simple things like did you know we can't get water from this particular place just because of a meeting that happened 200 years ago? That can have a ripple effect, more people becoming aware, and then we have more people putting pressure on the policymakers or the whoever made the deals, and then making it eventually accessible to everyone.
Thank you, Mercy. And we have this particular question, which is directed to Ropa from Chimotiti, and it goes like, DRC and Nigeria face so many conflicts. How is this affecting water and sanitation services? And how are you dealing with these issues? Any solutions? Ropa, you can respond to the question if you're still here with us.
What was the question?
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Since Ropa is not around, I think I could try. So I think from what Mr. Rutherford just said, a lot of conflicts come from scarcity of resources. Yeah. So when a lot of people are fighting to get, and that could be because of maybe overcrowding or literally just the depletion of what is available or the sanctioning and rationings, which create this problem. So we find that maybe from this, when we're looking for solutions, it's, well, I'd say it's quite difficult given that most of these things are governed or they're under policies, for different countries, and maybe they look at it differently in terms of strategies to try and solve them. And that could maybe look like more boreholes or maybe more treatment plants for water, which in turn, as you can see, might affect the aspects of, because we say, for instance, like if there's the issue of adding more treatment plants, that increases the energy that is used, the energy consumption that is poured into that, which could also affect, or have an effect on climate change and, the whole cover of that idea. So when it comes to dealing with, I feel like not many countries at this point, especially in Africa, are actively, involved in that, because we see increased cases of, drought and famine or flooding because of, the poorly placed infrastructures. And maybe that is something that needs to be addressed and looked into and advocated for, because the unfortunate bit is that at the moment, there's very little that is poured into the aspect of water sanitation and the whole idea of the governance around it. So I think it's mostly something that is ongoing. I don't think there's actual changes in the ground now, but we are the people who are going to start it by having these discussions. We are trying to figure out, okay, these are the problems. What can I do as an individual with the information that I have? What can I do to maybe, add value or do something to help with the situation that there is? Because the truth is, if we're relying on the government or the country to take care of it at the moment, that is not really something that is working for any of us. And, if we are looking at news outlets and all that, we keep seeing that there's, increased either disputes because of the limited resources, or we keep seeing that there are health issues because of contamination by, of like our water sources and what is used, and poor sanitation. So I think the first thing is us having this discussion and just figuring out, okay, this is what is there, this is what we have, and maybe looking more into, okay, maybe what policies are there that help to govern or help streamline this sector. What can we do as individuals just to try and make everything yeah, just to try and move forward and sort of curb these effects of limited resources and sanitation and all that. I think that's what I have for now. If anyone has something else that they would want to add, feel free. Thank you.
Okay, so since we are almost running out of time, I'll hand over to Mr. Rutherford to do a quick panel discussion and then we can conclude.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marcy. And let me also take the opportunity to thank our wonderful presenters. I just want just to now deep dive into of discussion, and I just crafted one question from the discussion which we've been doing just recently, and the question is, because this is a youth. Sorry, yeah, I was requested to start on my video. I just want to have this question, which challenges us as young people, because most of the people who are in this room, they're young people. So I want to look on the issue of governance. Mercy mentioned something which is very important about Lake Victoria, that the treaties were signed long time ago by the British with the Egyptians. No Ugandan was there, no Tanzanian was there. No Tanzanian was there. Only the few elites. So I just want to pass this message on how best can we advocate for so that we can challenge the status quo and try and change those policies, because people who are living in the lake region around Lake Victoria in East Africa, they don't have access to water, but the water is only 2 meters away from their homestead. So as panels, now I think we are left with the panelists from East Africa, and anyone can jump in. How best can we advocate, and how best can we come up with solutions so that the people, we can have pro-people policies in terms of water politics in East Africa or in Africa in general?
Okay. What I would say is that I think as young people, we need to utilize the new communication methods and technologies, because we're the ones who know how to communicate with one another and how to best advocate. You know, a lot of young people are able to organize this advocacy online, on social media. So I think the best, in terms of how to best advocate for water as young people, is we first of all need to all be together and in alignment, and we need to speak in a way that everyone can understand, especially young people. And so when we're able to band together and, become a community, then we're able to now go and advocate and say, okay, these things that happened hundreds of years ago, how can we change them? Because things have changed. The water sources, or rather the water availability is different. Everything is different. So we need to find a way to band together and and a way to band together, communicate with one another, and then from there we can now communicate to the other people in power who can make these changes.
Oh, the
Thank you so
suggestion.
much for. Mercy, you are saying something?
Oh, it's Agatha. I'm saying there's a suggestion in the chat room from caller. It's can we have the question on the chat? Probably some of them missed whilst you were narrating the
Oh, she
question.
wants the
So
question in the chat.
yes, thank you.
Okay, let me try and write it. Can you write it, Agatha? Did you hear my question?
You can speak and I'll try and type it very fast.
The question is just like this: how best can we challenge the status quo that people in East Africa, for example, across Lake Victoria, they don't have access to water because of the policies and the agreement that were made 100 years ago. How can young people challenge the status quo in terms of this unfair agreement which was signed by a few elites people a long time ago? That's the question.
For me, I would also add that as young people, we can actively engage in our politics. So when a constitution is being amended, or if there's civic education happening, or community engagement before something is passed, it's a way for us to be informed about what rules and regulations our countries have, and also to question the leaders who are putting these things into law. We can also get to a point, like in Kenya, we have the youth parliament, being active in such spaces where you have a front seat on decisions being made about your country, being aware of your own constitution. So like for Kenya, for a long time, we took for granted what the constitution actually means until we got to a situation where everything is just not going well. Wait, did you lose me?
No, we didn't. I didn't lose you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Oh, thank you. No, I just wanted to mention, like, I'm all about small actions and things we can do to sort of like go around the challenge. And if you ask me, one of the very simple action we can do is to create perhaps like a simplified youth-friendly explainers, things like infographics or short videos that can actually break down the issue when it comes to River Nile, and why equitable access, for instance, matters. Because as it is now, the current contract favors Egypt and Sudan, but they're the downstream sort of like neighbors, I mean, more or less to say, and then leaves aside countries like Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, who are like kind of also sort of like, could benefit from the River Nile and the lights, or even opening it up for everyone to utilize and tap in. So we can start there, and that would be my personal view. But I will leave it to other people who want to contribute as well. Back to you, Marcy.
Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. What I think is young people are not just the future leaders. We are the present change makers. So what I think we can do is we can do simple things like telling stories from their hearts, stories from our hearts, like a story like a girl is missing school due to lack of sanitation. These stories they can some people they can be changed their mind by these stories because they are emotional, like a family walking 5 kilometers for water, like giving them statistics of the people that or children that are dying due to waterborne diseases that are caused due to lack of water, clean water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
We also a response from caller, and it goes like this. I think involving school going.
Can you read the response?
Okay, it's saying I think involving school-going kids from a really young age, so that they grow up already knowing the importance of such issues and how it influences us is important, be it through advocacy and mentorship programs, and also actually educating ourselves on current issues so that we are aware on policies and other policies that cross-cut and influence decision-making on our natural resources.
Okay. Thank you very much, Agatha, for reading the answers from caller. I think we are running behind time, and on this positive note, we should take this discussion to an end. I would like to invite Mercy to do another Mentimeter before we close. Mercy.
Thank you. So we are finalizing, and this is a reflection of the session so far. And if you have access to, just go to menti.com. We'll also write in the chat. And you'll insert the code that you can see in the chat.
Okay, as Messi is sending us the Mentimeter, there is another response from Prudence. And she's saying we can do educational awareness to schools and university and colleges, even companies. Then we can also do community campaigns, which we include on community council, thus giving us access to community hall meetings. Thank you, Prudence.
Yes, I'm writing the code. Just give me a minute. So go to menti.com and then insert that code and give a thumbs up when you are successful. I'm not able to see the screen, so Agatha, just help me check and see.
Maybe Marcy, can you share your screen for Menti? Or is it something that
Okay.
we
Yes,
do
I can. So once you have, go to menti.com and then put the code you can see on the screen, and you'll answer this first question. If you had the power to protect water, what is one action you would take to secure clean and sustainable water for future generations? Prohibit privatization. Actually, the concept of privatizing water is such a, because this is, for me, I believe it's a resource that should be free for all. So that's a good point. If any of you is having a challenge with logging into Menti, please raise your hand and either Agatha or Nicholas will assist you, or write in the chat what challenges you're having. We have reforestation, free and clean water, proper drainage systems, recycle better and purify. Yeah. Somebody has said, I would stop pollution at That's something. Proper waste management, proper disposal
If you're
of
having any
sewage.
challenge to ask, and then we'll be assisting you.
Large-scale reforestation, heavy fine for polluters. I'll give you 1 more minute, then go to the next question because we're slightly over time. Thank you. So I'll go to the next question. What is one small habit you can change to save water daily? What is one small habit you can change to save water daily? Harvesting rainwater, yes. Hot showers, making use of containers, proper use of water, turning off the tap. Reusable water bottles, cold showers. Wow. I can see we are only 17 people have gotten into Menti, but we're 34 in the room. If you're having issues, don't hesitate to ask for assistance. Trying water well, fixing leaks, reuse. I'll also give this 1 more minute for anyone who's still typing, and then I'll go to the next slide. So imagine you're a drop of water. Where would you go and what would you see? If you were to suddenly turn into a drop of water, where do you think you would go and what would you see? Well, in a very hot place, you'll evaporate very fast. Yeah. Fish. To the drought place. Okay. You'd see plastic waste. into a plant system, a deep blue ocean, ecosystems, river, ocean, I would see people suffer. Oh, that's sad. The desert, and you'll see plants, rivers. Go to the sky. How would you go to the sky from the ground? That's interesting. Rivers, and you see plastics. So it seems that most of us are in environments where there is either pollution or there's droughts. Again, just one more minute, then I'll move to the next slide. And this is our last reflection question. What part of today's session feels the most important for you to carry forward? Change is possible, for sure. Everything. The history, we still have time. Water conservation, for sure. Clean water is a necessity, yes. Sewage treatment. Interconnection. Youth voices matter. They definitely do. You can see the picture says the future belongs to the youth. Change has to be done now. Our health matters. Anyone else writing something? One more minute. Education and empowerment. Water is precious for life. I think I'm going to okay, I can see 30 seconds to write what you have in mind before we close. Yeah, so thank you for everyone who's participated in the activity and for staying this long. I will hand over back to Mr. Rutherford to close our session. Oh, I think he's not online, so I'll hand over to Nicholas to conclude and close for us.
Yeah, you rushed something which is an emergency. So, Nicholas, you can take over.
Oh, thank you very much. I think there won't be much to be said from my end. But for those who are joining for the first time and maybe wondering, perhaps you're a young person in any country in Africa, you're wondering how to join, or maybe beyond Africa to join and be part of the project, carry on in these discussions and dialogues. There will be, of course, a few more other to come in the next few months. So you're just know that you're more than welcome, and we are going to leave you with contact details for how to reach different partners across. Thank you for the screen being shared. You can see those links there. We will copy and paste them in the chat for you to be able to access, but there is more information. There are more dialogues we did on climate change, culture, and the intersection between the two. We did a few more other on advocacy, etc., etc. So it's always very interesting when we have these dialogues. So do go there, peruse on the videos on our site and everything, but most importantly, reach out to our country partners as listed on the site. We're going to put it in the chat, and that's how you can join us. If anything, you can also write me, and then you should be able to direct you to the right channels or right partners to support you based of which country you are in. So I guess I'm going to leave my email maybe in the chat as well for those who trying to maybe who can write an email or something like that. But that would be it from me. I will maybe then call it a day. But before we leave, we can take maybe a picture together. So open your mic, open your camera, and then you can take one photo together. And as we finish that, you can also say goodbye in your own language. But let's turn on our cameras, and then we're going to take a beautiful selfie together for our social medias. And that's only if you're comfortable, yeah? So in 1, 2, 3, we're going to take one photo. Perfect. I need some time to take another one in case you were not ready. Yep. Again, in 1, 2, 3. Okay, something is happening here. Can someone else help me to take the photo? Because I'm slightly struggling.
It's okay, Nicholas. I'm doing them as well.
Oh, perfect. So I'm sure then we now have captured like a few photos. So yeah, keep following us on our social medias, and until next time, our next dialogue is. Mercy, do you know when our next dialogue is? We can already invite people here.
Remember.
I'll also quickly check when our next dialogue is. Okay. For those of you who are here, please do join our next dialogue. It's on, just going to confirm that detail on our timeline, but it's in March. Yeah, found it. So we have had one today. Our next, that was in January. This is February. So our second online dialogue is on the 24th of March. 24th of March, we're going to have an online dialogue on a different topic. And I'll be expecting to see a lot of you here joining on to that dialogue as well. Until then, kwaheri. This is goodbye in Swahili, but also do say goodbye in your own language.